Thank you, Mr. Vishal, hey, and thank you for your introduction. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Today we're going to review cost accounting in Business Central, Navision. And well, we're going to talk about a special module that will be helping you with your cost accounting features. So um, what is special about this is that we normally, in our first phases for our customers, we just implement chart of accounts and budget, sometimes reporting. But what is cost accounting? Then we normally in different organizations have implemented this, and apart from the traditional financial measurements that we normally carry, we normally as well would like to sometimes allocate our costs. We need to, for instance, calculate the rent for square footage, FTEs, enable automatic cost allocation so you don't have to worry about anymore about the actual costs if they are okay. They are complicated sometimes to manage, right? So how this helps is basically that's what we're going to be looking at today. We can generate now some examples, but before going into the presentation, actually, I'm just going to going through NAV, so you can first check what is it about, because this is a different module, let's say, and then we're going to go through the actual exercises for you to review what is this about. So we are going to have a general overview of this, right? So, well, once again, thank you very much. We're going to have this session is going to be 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, maybe. And we're going to have if you want to ask anything, just please let me know if you have any doubts, since this is going to be maybe new for all of you. So cost accounting for the companies, we're going to have today the possibility to understand, okay, we have some our accounting features in any Dynamics ERP product, but later we need to differentiate what is cost accounting. Then explain the workflow of how do we allocate those costs and what this is all about, all right? So this is something that we'll be analyzing today. And before continuing into the actual differences and analyze everything, I'm going to present, this is Business Central on premises. We're going to actually review in the cloud and Business Central on premises clients, since we are actually going to be working with both. It depends of your actual flavor of how you actually want it, okay? But this is also going to show you both and see how actually this functionality, as all the functionality in NAV is currently in Business Central. So for you to learn a little bit more about in the cloud flavor. Now, cost accounting, okay. This is like having a different chart of accounts that accountants can create, actually, in order to actually review with a different flavor the same information, since we transfer the cost information and expenses and anything you want to start reviewing into a different chart of accounts, let's say, where actually we are just going to be measuring with the help of different units like profit and cost centers. This is the idea that I'm going to be showing first. Now, let me show you. Currently, we have a chart of accounts in our company. This is generated for your company as well, where we're going to be having the balance sheet and the P&L with the normal configuration for fixed assets, then passives, and then we're going to have sales, costs, and then our revenue calculated, right? So basically what we have here is that some accounts were created, right? This is for the normal operation for sales, for instance. And then in the below the sales, we have our costs, right? Where we normally allocate our purchases. This is normal. This is what we actually do. Sometimes we have our costs. And if you manufacture as well, we have some other type of costs, such as capacities and variances and so on, all right? Excuse me. There we're going to have some, for instance, cleaning, electricity, and repairs maintenance, and so on. Okay, so I just can continue explaining chart of accounts, but the purpose for now is just to actually focus on another type of controls for our financial information. Here I have cleaning, electricity, and repairs and maintenance accounts, okay? So what I would like to know, and what is the cost accounting features, For instance, I want to know the cleaning services that sometimes this costs, in this case for this account, I have 26,000, okay? How does it then spread among my areas? I have a sales department, I have a administrative and production, it depends, right? Even the stores for those of you who manage retail, retail channels and so on. So how then do I allocate the cleaning expense, because this is for the entire company? How do I actually control those? If I wanted to know, I might have the necessity to check the actual square foot in the different buildings, maybe. The same happens for electricity and repairs and maintenance, well, for manufacturing, or for the general company. I also need to maybe check my cars, or if I have a distribution company, how do I allocate those into my different cars or different trucks, so I can see how much I've been what are the expenses for the trucks, right? Those are the kind of things that we are actually going to review. Then, with this simple example, I'm going to just go back to the chart of cost types. Chart of cost types is just the same as the GL account. So we might have some similarities as well, but we currently, in the chart of cost type, we don't generate all the GL accounts. We are just going to generate those that we are actually going to control. Let me make an example. For instance, we have here, once again, the cleaning services, electricity, and repairs and maintenance. But in this case, what I would like to view is just the cost entries, how they were actually controlled and transferred. I, before, at some point on a monthly basis, just continue GL account for cleaning services that I mentioned before. But in this other chart of cost types, I have this, similarly to a chart of accounts, I have the same cleaning services. But if I look at the entries, this will be similar to general ledger entries, but here you can see that I manage some entities. The first one is the cost center code, administrative, productions, and sales, all right? So my cleaning expenses, if I just try to understand them, as you can see here in this simple chart that within this simple tool is going to be helping me to understand more or less that I have some divisions or allocations properly for the cleaning expenditures into the sales for 13,000, then for production and administrative departments. So in my company, I have, in this example, all these areas or departments, right, where I can actually just post my actual cost or expenses, and I can then immediately understand how then is being allocated. And of course, then look at this. I have the net change for 26,000, the total of the cleaning. This is actually matching the same amount that I had previously on my chart of accounts. So I can just transfer to this new cost type account, chart, right? And then also I have a budgeted amount. So these controls help me to understand how I allocate my cost. Plus, the budget amount here that I have is because apart from the normal financial budgets, I have cost budgets as well. So I have now this other feature when I can just control how I want to allocate my budgets. And then with this, I also have the possibility to just be having a magnifying lens into what my costs are and control them properly. So this is just the chart of cost types, but then I have a cost center that I have created before. Let me show you. Where I have some administrative buildings, business management, and some teams. For instance, I have created in my company the administrative HR a cost center where I, as an example, have some business management. And here I have some balances that I have allocated here. This is also coming from my chart of accounts where I have some different GL accounts for HR. But here, what I'm doing is controlling from another perspective. So I have different cost centers in my HR department, I have administration, buildings and property management, business management, and a personnel, right? So what does this tell me actually? If I take a look at my cost entries, okay, let me just verify. For instance, once I have posted some expenditures, then I need to understand in which of my different teams I have people here working. For instance, for the vehicle operation, I have a cost center. For the workshop and repairs, this is something that is normally all of these expenses posted into one GL account. But now I also would like to separate it into this labor, vehicle, and workshop divisions, right? So with this, what I want to show you is that every cost center that I generate is going to be like grouping my costs. Then, and from this, I can actually just work and allocate my expenses however I want. Let me just go back and show you the chart of cost objects. What is this? I know that I have, in this case, a workshop, right? What I do here is that I also have expenses in that workshop. What do? Okay, they have painting, they have fittings, they have accessories, right? And I would like to control that. To actually control all of this into my chart of accounts is quite cumbersome. I would need to generate a lot of maybe different accounts that are actually just one, but posting and consolidating all the expenditures in my workshop as an example. But here, I'm separating this. Another idea is that I have a store, all right? So you could have expenditures in your different stores, but as well, you would like to then have some control of the expenditures of your on your stores. Then what I will be doing here is just control the expenditures for let's say let's put some other examples. I have some marketing expenditures in the stores. Plus, I have some specific equipments or different items that I sell. So I would like to just control all these different revenues and expenses that I have in the store and create one specific report for, let's say, a P&L for my store. In this example, well, what I just have is, for instance, the chairs and furniture sales operations are just considered as objects that I can then just control. And consulting and work income. When I offer the service, maybe I would like to also control that. Okay, so with those ideas, I'm just going to start working now in order to show you the basic setups. Hopefully this is quite easy to understand. Specifically, the chart of cost types is going to help me, right, to clarify that this is another chart of accounts that I control. Then I have cost centers and I can apply those cost centers to any area where you want to control. Maybe it's a store, a workshop, maybe you have administrative departments. So you have a chart of accounts to control your costs, and then you create your cost centers for your different functions in your company. With that, just at last but not least, I'm going to show you just some reports where I can just generate, for instance, the balances to view what is the result once I have set everything up. Okay, here I have my cost type, a chart of accounts, where I have budgeted my expenditures, then I review the actual, the differences, and so on for different periods, right? So in this case, I have consulting fees and charges, discounts. I can see my revenue sales accounts. And if I just go down below, I have created, let me just show you, I have some, okay. I have created some controls on my different expenditures. Let me show you. I have, for instance, the building maintenance, have cleaning, electricity, and repairs and maintenance. These are controls that I'm creating to review the building operation with all the expenditures, and then I'm review against my budgets, and then this is coming because I can review. This is the way I can just create another costing features, and all of this is coming from my chart of accounts, but with another approach. Office supplies, phone and fax, and postage. All right, this sort of expenditures sometimes are hard for me to control all of them. Maybe I just purchase, I just consider everything in the a purchase account. In one single purchase account, I have all the purchases for the company. But then what happens if I just need my office supplies to be controlled? I know, and I want to know only the amounts for those office supplies, phone and fax, and postage amounts. Then I just can generate my cost accounting controls where I can see these features, right? Basically, that's it. Now, if I just come back to my presentation, this is what I'm going to be then reviewing today, how to generate this for the first time. And what is happening here? Excuse me. The general ledger accounting is legally required, it's retrospective, external, and to inform, all right? So you prepare your reports for the entire month, you close your figures, and that's it. Once we implement cost accounting, we generate your cost accounting a chart of cost types, and then we control whatever you want through the cost centers. So you have your stores, you might have different areas, administrative, you might have workshops, you might any type of control that you want to apply. This is optional, of course. This is prospective. Why? Because we normally concentrate all our expenditures that we've done in the past, but then we can budget and review with the time how we are actually going through the actual operation. It's internal, it's only for the account control, so we can generate specific reports and then show with the, for instance, the store or the workshop, hey, you have been posting more expenditures with your internal administrative department, as an example. So let's analyze that. And then we take decisions on what is going on with our expenditures, right? So that's the whole idea. Then if I just go to the cost accounting setup, this is for both Business Central and on-premises in the Business Central in the cloud and on-premises, all right? So this is the first window. We have a cost accounting setup window where we generate, first of all, the starting date to control our postings for the cost accounting. So in this case, I'm going to clarify the starting date. So maybe at this point, if we go to your company and we implement this, we will say, okay, from the 1st of January, or at least, or since we actually had the implementation maybe before, right? So we can say that in this case, we have a second field where we can align GL account. This is very important. Just to show some basics for you to take the general idea. Do you want to have do you want to align the actual chart of accounts with your cost type chart? So every time you make a post with your general ledger, any expenditure is transferred directly into the cost type chart as well. Or we have other batches that we can manually, where we actually manually update maybe everything at night. Okay, so this is basically for you to take the general idea. We have a beginning date once we implement this, and then we can align to the actual chart of accounts, and then we generate the flavors of your cost centers in your company, and then we transfer the actual data. Let me then just explain this with a diagram. I have a general ledger when I have indirect, direct cost, and if I want it, I can also control income. When I control income, I call it then a profit center. So we could generate a P&L that would be specifically for those departments that actually generate income, but they have also expenses, but we cannot control everything in one single chart of accounts. So we can generate maybe an income, a P&L for your store, for a sales a team maybe, where they actually going to be having a income costs. Then we generate the cost types and cost centers, and then we make allocations. Allocations, as you know, in costs is, for instance, when we have to pay the rent, all right? We have also then to allocate the rent in your different areas that are in that building. So we need to allocate the cost, even though if they generate income or no, but we allocate the cost into, with the help of cost centers, into the different areas, all right? So that's normally how we actually do it. So for you to take ideas, we have one general ledger, we have cost centers, and we can allocate expenditures with different percentages that we are going to see just right now in the following lessons, right? How exactly does it work, and how could this be applied to your company? I want you to give the ideas that the cost center is normally and the profit center is a way of having a P&L for different areas, and the cost is when you want to control one specific department. And let's see, for instance, the administrative department. We have the cost center that we can generate, but you have different expenditures for office supplies, maybe why not wages? That you actually have in the different departments. Also, the administrative departments, you need to pay electricity, you need to pay, and everything is in one chart of accounts, but how then we allocate everything to see the actual and real expenditures among the different departments, okay? So we need to set up what we call cost types, cost centers, and we need to set all of these different criteria in order to start working with the cost accounting module. First, the cost types is, like I was explaining, chart of cost types is similar to a chart of accounts, right? But this is only for your internal controls. Give me some accounts where we are going to be working. Let's link them to the actual chart of accounts. But this is not only operational for costs, for costing, okay? So in small and mid-sized business, cost types and GL accounts are structured similarly, okay, in most cases. Now, this similar structure enables you to transfer the chart of accounts from the general ledger and then customize it to fit your cost accounting needs. However, you can also build a chart of account cost types in a way that is completely independent of the general ledger chart of accounts. So this is quite similar to the actual sales, cost, and expenses. But if you take a look, I don't have all the accounts. I just have, let's say, like just classification for my internal controls, all right? So I might have different, for instance, sales accounts that could be considered services, okay? I have different income from, of course, my product sales, all right? Job sales, sales discounts, and I don't know if I want to separate into different stores, okay? So I can separate the actual income that I have in my chart of accounts, but here I could generate one account per store. So I can just start having a good flavor for retail. Now for manufacturing, I have finished goods, I have a raw material that I will be selling as well. And I could just, why not just use this in order to, let's say, having a different but more detailed information from your actual chart of accounts. Okay, let's continue then. Once I have the cost type or the chart for the costing module, I have a relationship, okay? I could generate one general ledger for each cost type account, okay? One general ledger account, one cost type. But if I wanted, I could generate several general ledger costs for one cost type. So a range of accounts can be reflected into my cost type in just one balance, okay? And so on. So that's the idea in first place. Now, if I want to start working on the actual setup, this is the demo that I'm going to show you. The idea is that I'm going to start working for the first time if I'm gonna work. Now, this is the Business Central on the cloud for you to see this client, but it's exactly the same as we will be working. So this is a chart of cost types, all right? This is the first time I will be generating such a thing. I have my chart of accounts currently in my company. So the whole idea is that I need to actually come with the idea of generating for the first time the chart for the costing module. So in first place, I could just copy paste or bring my actual chart of accounts, and here just copy paste into my costing module. This is not a subledger, this is a completely independent chart of accounts where you manage and transfer and control whatever you want to bring. For instance, here I have actually a relationship with my income services account, and I have copy paste that into one-to-one relationship, right? And but here, the idea is that I could generate not only this, but the actual ranges that I would like if I need them. Okay, I could just work with that and generate a range of accounts that will be posting into the 40,100 account that is in my chart of account, a chart of cost types. All right. So with this idea, that's the way I will be working in first place. Here, you modify, and as an example, I will be creating an account. This is not a GL account, a cost type account that is not going to be in my GL account. This is the 9901 account in order to help me to allocate any transaction, right? So with this idea, this is a cost type. This is similar to a GL account, but we just call it cost type, simple as, all right? But here, I can either bring them from my chart of accounts or start deleting and make my relationship and create, of course, manual accounts that will be here in this specific module that is completely independent from the actual chart of accounts that I might have. Now, once I have generated this, I need to clarify that I have some setups. The basic ones I'm showing here. I was talking about the alignment, all right? So what about the balances? What I have generated this, okay? You could have no alignment. So with this, you would need to manually transfer the amounts or the balances. Then automatic, every time you post something will be transferred, or then a prompt. If you want, you can transfer automatically. In this case, I have just set it up to automatic process. So every time I post, for instance, a general ledger, a journal, I will be then transferring the information from my chart of accounts, what is it posted, to my a cost type account. Let's make an example. First of all, I have a GL account card. This is I'm going to create a new account in my GL account for travel and expenses. A normal account, okay? So I want to use this to purchase some services for different vendors. And then I want to classify this account as an expense, simple as, okay? This is a normal GL account. But once I have generated this new account, because I have set it up as automatic, then this cost type 61100 was created as well, where in my actual cost type chart. So we have a relationship with my cost accounts and with my chart of accounts and my chart of cost types. One-to-one in this example, but you can consolidate many GL accounts into one single chart of cost type, all right? So this is the idea. You can start thinking about how to work with this. We implement it normally, like I said, for different departments, for stores, and so on. Now let's let's take a look at the cost center idea. Cost centers are more often for you to take if you want to implement this in the future. Cost centers are most often departments and profit centers that are largely responsible for a company's cost and income, all right? Cost centers can be synchronized with the dimensions if you have them in the general ledger. It is also possible to add new cost centers and define their own sorting with subtotals. In this case, I have generating different departments. In first place, administration, building, HR for human resources, right? So what I want to monitor is how I actually having different expenses for the different departments. Then I have for inventory, the production and warehouse. And then for commercial cost centers, I have marketing and sales, okay? So whenever I, for instance, post a journal for, let's say, wages, okay, then immediately whenever I post in my chart of cost center, immediately I will be seeing some balances for all these different departments, all right, without you having to do anything. And this is more powerful than just using dimensions. But if you use them, we can generate them in the cost in this costing module. So you can actually just transfer amounts, but here in this chart of cost centers, we are going to group with a different flavor, like in this example. So you can see and review how are your departments actually working. Now, cost objects are some could be items, project, products, services of a company as an example. The chart of cost objects is like the dimension information, but for the general ledger. So in this example, I actually, let's say that I generate something special, all right? I might having some installation services and maintenance services, okay, that I have normally. But how then do I actually just group all of them, all right? Then I sell tables, configuration packages, and chairs, all right? In this simple example. Okay, for first of all, furniture, in this first section, I actually have a lot of items that are chairs, okay? A lot of items that are conference packages and a lot of different items that that are actually tables. But what I want to do is just actually see a P&L for my tables or any of my items. How is actually the expenditures for my item, which is something quite new. There is no other way where I can see, okay, if I see my tables, what is the actual revenue that I have after my sales operations? Then I purchase sometimes my raw materials if I manufacture, or if I just resale, that's okay. But what I want to know is after my electricity, after the rent payments and all of that, how is the actual revenue that I have for my chairs, conference packages, and tables? And then you will need to control those objects, and this is a criteria for the very important criteria to understand. First, I have cost centers that would be my different departments in the company, but then the cost objects are something more specific, like a project, like items that I want to monitor. And this will be give me the entire flavor to understand what is going on behind the scenes, and in one single module having the possibility to control that, plus budgeting, all right? So just some examples. I have items and services, all right? Now, once I have done this, let's create our first cost center. So the whole idea here is that what I want to do is try to understand, okay, in first place, I know that I have generated a chart of cost types for the first time, and I need to generate my first cost center, okay, to give you the idea. So first of all, I have a function to update the cost account dimensions. So that's what I want to do first. I need to generate all of that in the cost accounting setup. So I need to control my dimensions for departments, okay? This is the first that I will be doing for the first time. So I need to update all the information in the dimensions that I have. So the cost accounting setup has this function, and it's going to help me to actually update all the information that I have and update it to be useful in my cost accounting. So once that function is updated, then I will be generating the chart of cost centers. All right, let's take a look. I want to, in my company, control three main areas, okay? Not only the warehouse, but let's think of dividing the company, the normal areas, administrative, production, sales departments, and so well. I can relate this to my actual dimensions. So this is something that I'm doing. 3 cost centers created, all right? This is actually coming from my dimensions. I know that I have dimensions that I used to report normally, administrative, productions, and sales. But I want to go in depth with my dimensions, okay? So let's generate, I have brought these dimensions into my cost centers, all right? Now, also, let's generate a new manually. Let's generate a cost center that is not a dimension, okay? This is not a dimension that is behind the scene in control directly with the actual transfers, but this is a new warehouse control that I want to have, all right? So I have four different possibilities. In this case, I can generate as well as a chart of accounts, but for cost centers, with head totalings and so on, but this cost center is independent. I want to monitor four different areas in my company. Take the idea, divide your company, and let's try to work now with this approach, all right? So you work normally with your chart of accounts, but also now we work internally with your different departments in your company, so we can actually just start working with them. With sales, we generate revenue, but administrative, production, and warehouses, they don't generate revenue at all, but we still need to monitor the expenses, okay? And the cost, of course, it depends. Now, once I have done that, this is just now finished, and then I need to generate not only my cost centers, basically, but also the cost of the cost objects as well. So let me go to the cost accounting setup once again. And I need to generate by the weight allocations. So the idea for me to work with this is that I need to understand, okay, first of all, I have generated different departments in my company, all right? So I don't have to mess around any of my chart of accounts with many accounts for the different departments or anything related to my expenditures, travel and expenses, electricity, water, anything. But your chart of accounts is clean. You don't have to generate too many accounts, but nevertheless, I have one scenario. In this exercise, once I have generated my first cost center, so I can take my idea how this works, the next step is setting up, in this scenario, let me just read the example. The next step in setting up the cost accounting in Business Central is configuring an allocation, because the administration department takes care of all administrative related tasks. So they must allocate these expenses to other departments, okay? It's your task to create an allocation that distributes the total balance of the administrative department to the following departments: production 45%, sales 21%, and 34% for warehouse. These percentages must be revised at the beginning of the next calendar year. What happened here? What difference with the normal allocation if I just want to do it in the chart of accounts? Okay, with the cost allocations, I could, for instance, understand, okay, I have understood these different percentages that I want to allocate, because I know that in advance the production department have one specific, when I just started analyzing my costs, it depends. It could be static, like in this example, because I know the square meters as an example for the building. This will be useful when I post, for instance, the rent. I will be posting the electricity or other type of expenses, right? So this will be done automatically. But what happened when it's dynamic? For instance, it depends, the production, the sales, and the warehouses. I need to control the wages according to the actual number of people that is working there. So I don't have to actually go into the general journal and do everything manually once again and spend the rest of the day just working on the actual calculations. I just need to post my general journal. Let's post the wages. Let's post the electricity. But behind the scene in my costing controls, I know that I can create allocations, dynamic and static. Let's see the exercise for the first time. And this is quite interesting to see for the first time, but this is, with the exercises, we are going to be explaining more or less the general functionality. So once again, in Business Central in the cloud, what I will be doing is just generate for the first time an allocation, all right? So what we do for the first time in the first example, I want to review what is behind the cost allocation and how do I generate it, okay? So I have, first of all, this window where I want to generate the administrative expense. I have the level number 1. I'm going to show you what is going to happen here. I can generate up to 99 levels. Let me explain you what this. I'm going to generate the cost allocation valid for the 2019 year currently working now. I'm implementing this module for the first time, all right? So I'm going to be posting administrative expenses. This is actually coming from the dimension that I actually generated, all right? But the administrative expenses that I will be posting in this area will be credit to cost type 9901 that I actually previously generated, all right? So what is behind all of this? I know that I have administrative expenses, okay? This is a bunch of transactions posted into one single dimension, all right? Now, what I want to do here is that allocate all of these into different departments, okay? So what I want to show is that I can use percentages or amounts or percent per share. For instance, in the production department, for the first time, I know that I have 45 people working there, all right? So the percent per share is 45 because this is just per share because this could be a lot of different ideas. This could be people working, square meters. This could be another idea. The sales department also have I don't know, 21 people working here, okay? But as well, this could be 21 square meters for the entire department because I need to post electricity bills, all right? So you control these allocations automatically. And the whole idea is that, oh, excuse me for this, or I'm posting in the wrong field. A rule that I need to understand is that I have a target cost center because this is the different departments in my company. But I have also cost objects. I'm going to show you later in another exercise. Once I have this specific allocation, I know that every time I generate an expense from my administrative department, maybe this could be just wages, or this could be another type of expenditures, for instance, office supplies. I buy paper, I buy pens, and I buy a lot of stuff in the company. But then these expenditures for the administrative, because the administrative department also helps to control the payroll, control different aspects for the other departments. So let's just generate then the cost allocation to see then in a predefined allocation how I can distribute these expenses, all right? So this is normally the cost allocation that I use with the help of my cost centers. Once you understand this simple idea, this is the heart, let's say, of the cost accounting functionality. For me is that once I generate the cost allocation, what I need to do is, okay, with this single idea, I generated different cost centers in first place, which will be the different departments in my company, right? Now, I will be posting different journals in my actual chart of accounts. How then they will be reflected automatically with my specific definitions into the actual cost allocation or my cost centers that I actually previously predefined, right? So do you want to know how to transfer the general ledger balances to the cost accounting in Business Central? This is what we are going to be doing now. So this is, we are going to be identifying the procedures to run an automatic transfer that you could do manually or automatically. This could be done. So you don't have to worry about once you have predefined your cost accounting features. So you just focus on the posting on the monthly invoices that you pay to your vendors or that you need to pay for your expenditures, and behind the scene, the module will be doing everything automatically for you. So you can internally, remember, this is internal controls. That's the beautiful part about this module. Just generate the definition of your cost, and NAB will be do the rest, okay? Then, Business Central, cost entries can originate from the following 4 sources. Automatic transfer from the general ledger entries into the definition that you generate in the costing module, manual cost posting for pure cost entries, internal charges, manual allocations, and so on. Automatic allocation posting for actual costs, and transfer of budget entries to the general ledger. Let me give you more ideas about the transfer possibilities. But we need to review the basic one, which is transfer the amounts that we have in the general ledger in the cost accounting module. I have for you to see this for the first time. Now, opening once again Business Central, I will be working on the actual transfer. Let me just go into the example. And what I have here is that I have my cost accounting setup, okay? I need to tell the system since when, in this example, okay, we are implementing the module for the first time for a company that maybe is working since the last year with Business Central and NAB, all right? So you need to transfer all these figures that you have posted since the very beginning. If you want to have the entire history into the new implemented module, or you can just begin from the very last period since we start working with the module. And then we transfer and we have the Align GL account as automatic, as we said before, right? So once I have generated this, I have one single batch that is going to take a look at the GL accounts and then transfer to my new definition in the cost accounting module, okay? So this is what I need to do. This is a batch or an engine, let's say, that is going to take a look at the figures, at the definition, and is going to take a look at where to put the amounts according to the different departments or cost centers that you have predefined. And in this case, well, for the first time I have done this, okay? Just take the idea that we have transferred some GL account balances for the first time into the module with these basic setups that we have done before. I have a cost entry register, a cost register, or this is the history, and this is interesting. I have used the sources a transfer journal that was posted, and this was transferring different cost entries into the different administrative, production, and sales departments. So in first place, all the accumulated depreciation was just posted into the different, let me just go back a little bit, into the actual different departments that I have here, all right? So automatically, we have now expenditures now that were automatically allocated into administrative, productions, and sales department, okay? But this doesn't have got to be depreciation. This could be electricity, this could be your rent, this could be any idea that you have. We are going to define it and help you through an implementation in order to help you with the module. But it's very powerful because it's automatically done and you don't have to worry about anymore about these different reports. You don't have to divide them anymore, and this is actually matching your GL figures, all right? It's more or less the idea of a sub-ledger sometimes if we take a look at it. But anyway, once I have just allocated the cost, by the end of the module, okay, we're going to be using cost journals to understand the difference between static and dynamics allocation. Because you need to understand very well how to allocate, how is this done, okay? Normally, you would be working with a percentage, but you could be working dynamically speaking with the variations of the people that is working on your departments. Maybe that's more important for you, all right? So we can post charges, manual allocation, and pure cost entries whenever they are required. We have a costing journal. And in this case, in this example, what we're going to do is show you the possibilities of the different costs allocations we can manage for you to take the more ideas of how to use the module for the first time, okay? Okay, I have a costing journal, all right? this is manually done. I need to know, I know that I have some expenditures, okay, that I have just need to manually post for the first time. This is the first implementation. So I need to post administrative expenses for the first time. Okay, so I'm going to show you the document journal. So this is a cost journal similar to the general journal that you have. But remember, the general journal is working with your actual figures, but here the cost journal is helping us in the same way to post depreciation, let's say depreciation equipment, into the costing module, all right? So this is, we have a, let's take this idea. We have a journal working only with the costing module for you to be able to manually post different expenses and having the possibility to control the actual expenses that you have into the module. So in this example, I have administrative expenses, depreciation equipment for 1,000, and I have the 9901 account used to be posted that I used to, in this case, coming for the administrative expenses, but I'm going to allocate into the production department 1,000, all right? I know, once again, I have some expenses in my administrative department, but I need to transfer to the production so I can allocate my cost properly, all right? So with this idea, I know what the cost accounting controls work with a journal and work manually if I want it. In the history, again, I have now the cost journal where you can see that this was registered, so you can see the history as well. So it's like more or less control a normal chart of accounts, but with the costing definition, with the areas, departments, and all of that, all right? Now, what happened then? Let's start with the cost allocation for the building. Another idea. Okay, I know that I need to control my expenditures for the building. All right, so I need to generate then a cost allocation to move costs and revenues when they are required for a specific building. This could be as well a store. All right, so revenues, cost types, cost centers, and cost objects, okay? Business Central provides flexibility when you define allocations. You can define as many allocations as you need, and each allocation consists of an allocation source and one or more allocation targets. So the idea is that the building, you have different buildings in your company. You want to monitor how much revenue they generate and the actual expenditures that you have. But you need to have an idea how many people do work in the building, or maybe how many square foot are actually used in the different, and how you divide that for your different departments or for the company, okay, for the building, I mean, all right? So you can actually control all the expenditures in the building and when they apply a revenue, if we use this building to generate that. So that's the whole, another approach for the allocation, okay? Let me give you the actual idea of the allocation. First of all, we have in this part, the static allocation. Bases are bases on a definite value, such as square footage, or an established allocation ratio, such as 5:4, all right? Dynamic allocation bases depend on other changes values, such as the number of employees in a cost center or sales revenue of a cost object in a certain time or a period, all right? So basically, allocations are static when you already know that, for instance, you pay the rent for the entire year, and then you would need to monitor that, and it's always the same. But dynamic, maybe for a store, for a warehouse, or I don't know, whatever you want to control, you have different people that is, changing all the time, but you need somehow some help to able to calculate the actual cost, all right? So you don't have to do anything in Excel anymore. Let me show you now this following example. Let's start with the static allocation example. So basically, what I want to do with the static allocation is generate in my example for the building for the first time that we will be working, just to have the basic idea, okay? Because the costing is actually quite complex. You need to post electricity, wages, you need to post water, you need to post office supplies and a lot of things, right? So, but take the idea, okay, for the cost allocation that I want to generate for a static example, I have the administrative team that is working on one specific floor, and I have the possibility to generate the cost allocation for this administrative department or team or floor according to your necessities, right? So once we generate this part, we are going to generate the cost allocation and distribute the cost among these different cost centers that I generate. So first of all, the administrative, a cost allocation that I'm generating will be valid for the following year. So since I have the idea, I will be implementing now for the 2020 year, now that I have the possibility, and then I have this creation, the administrative team will be valid for the following year. I'm designing, restructuring my company and working out with the costing module. Now, the cost center for my administrative department that I'm cost allocation, I have a cost center that is called administration. So this is going to help me to gather all the different expenditures. So with this idea, I'm just actually now setting up everything, okay? Also, I could generate a cost type range. If you have different accounts that you want to integrate, that because this is, remember, all of this is coming from an actual chart of accounts with different accounts that you want to transfer to this cost allocation. Now, let me just, once again, I need to credit the cost type to another account that I have created, the 9901 account. And once I have generated this, now let's just begin to control and let's start calculating and let's predefine how I actually going to distribute my expenses for this specific team. Because I know that I have maybe some people that is working together to help different departments in my company. So the target cost type is 9901. And here the target cost center that I will be using for the administrative team, I have all these different cost centers in my company. So I will be then transferring whenever I have wages or let's talk about the wages for the administrative team. They work for the production manufacturing team to generate reports. They help the production team also to generate not only reports, but the financial, the costing, the inventory reports, right? The payroll as well, mainly, and so on. So you can generate all cost or by percentage, or you define the share, all right? So in this example, for my allocation, I will be controlling a share or a percent for this. And let's take a look at the base, which is statistic. So if I work for the first time generating my basic allocations and try to understand and how to define this for the first time, I will be then working on the actual figures that I will be controlling. And in this case, okay, I know that in my first manufacturing department, I work with 90 square meters, all right? Now, maybe this could be the rent or could be, say, working people here in this department. So in the sales, in all these different departments, I have this shared definition, and let's take a look at what happened here. All right, with the idea of having a team working together, I need to share my costs or expenses into the different departments or cost centers in the company, production, sales, and warehouse. Then I know that this specific expenditure has a share, maybe 90 people working in manufacturing. This could be for payroll as an example. Then I have 80 people working on sales and 110 people working on warehouses. So then how I distribute my administrative salaries for this team into the different departments, okay? Let's put the share, and then I have an actual calculation automatically done as percentage. So it's 32, 28, and 39 for the warehouse, okay? This is automatically calculated for you. You don't have to do anything else. Once you predefine this, then every time you post an expenditure in your chart of accounts, this will be transferred with these percentages to your cost center to see the actual allocation of the different costs. Now, what I want to do now is work with dynamic allocations. And let's make another example where I will be just working with the same idea, but in this case, the cost allocations will be for the sales team, okay? So in my company, I have different sales teams. And this is the first one I will be generating as another example. So I need to control everything through a cost center that I will be generating through a new allocation that is called sales. And I will be using the cost center code that I previously configured, which is sales, right? Now, this team is in charge of selling chairs in this example, all right? So let's take this idea. All the chairs that I'm selling in my company won't be static at all. So I need to understand how is my sales team working, and I could budget, for instance, as an example, or I can bring the information in these examples from the actual item sold, all right? So what I want to have, I would like to understand for this team, what is the actual revenue that this team actually generates, plus if I want, I could also control the payroll, or if they have travel expenses and so on, to actually know internally, independently from my chart of accounts, and I could create a P&L for the sales team. In this case, let's filter, and I can do the following. I have a list of items. Let's select the chairs in this case, okay? So we need to be very careful when we select this type of, and we generate the cost allocation model when we implement it, in order to actually get the actual functionality and the definition of the whatever we want to control, all right, properly, I mean. In this case, okay, I also have the inventory posting group resale that is coming from my items, all right? So if you want to use it, in this case, I'm not using that, just to show that it could be done. What I'm reflecting here is the actual items that I want to control that this team is going to be selling. So what this module does is actually come, review the sales accounts, review when they fit into my criteria of the specific items. Now I'm having a specific, this is not a cost center like the administrative production. This is a cost object. I want to monitor a cost object for the items. So in this case, this is tables, and I'm just generating which items will be monitored, into this cost allocation, okay? With that, what is the idea behind all of this? Okay, what would be then the share if I want to control my expenses? Okay, I know that I have some electricity, travel and expenses, values, and so on, okay, and many expenditures. But what will be the percentage? Okay, it's dynamic. Every month, if they are going to be selling, I could say, okay, I'm going to maybe work on the allocation on according to the sales this team perform, all right? So I have another feature that is helping me calculate in automatically. Let me just go back a few seconds, just for you to show the actual function. I have one function that is helping me calculate allocation basis, okay? So this team, I will be monitoring the sales operation, and I want to then see, okay, according to the sales operation they manages, I will be calculating different percentages to then allocate for their expenditures, okay? Either remember that you have a specific journal, right? Manual journal where you just can post expenditures and for the cost allocations, but in this case, we are using the dynamic cost calculate allocation basis. And this is what the function that I will be using. Cost allocation base will be helping me then to actually calculate according to the item sold. I don't have to work anymore on Excel, all right? So what I'm saying here, okay, you might be thinking, okay, of working with this team and try to understand maybe how do you would share the expenses to control for this team, okay? But the idea is that I need to monitor how many items they have sold. Then the share is being among the shares and among the different items that you want to control. You can generate a percentage. In this case, for the first line, 58, and for the second line, 41, okay? So this is a dynamic cost allocation. According to whatever they sell, I can then allocate different expenditures. It depends on however you want to control this module. So this will be really helpful when it comes to control expenditures as an example, all right? That will be related to the sales every month that will be generated every month, okay? So allocate cost, okay, allocate cost. This is dynamic, this is static. You can predefine whatever you want to do. And in this example, whenever you want to allocate your cost, you can work dynamically or with the static functions according to how you define, okay? Now, I have predefined my percentages. Now, let's come into the actual figures, all right? So I want to actually tell NAB, okay, let's allocate the actual figures, all right? So in this example that I have here, I have one function, okay, that is going to help me allocating the actual cost since until the specific date that will be just maybe today or something like that, all right? Maybe, but has got to be in this period or at least in the last period that we are controlling, all right? So what I'm saying here, okay, in the last date of the last month, because I'm currently in November working with different expenditures and I'm not finished yet. I have not closed the figures. So let's work until October, okay? So all the costs and expenditures that I have worked and I have posted in the general ledger were transferred into my cost accounting module with the rules that I have predefined. So I can follow up my sales team or my administrative teams or the building or with any idea for cost center or, well, this is important. An idea that I haven't brought here is that this is the way we work normally with projects. All right. So WMS will be not WMS, working structures. For instance, when you have a team of technicians that work internally with the maintenance, okay, this is, you have not set up such a thing in the chart of accounts. How many people is working there? What do they repair? How many costs do you have, all right? How many expenditures? So let's create a project to control the cost for the specific maintenance that we have for my equipment in my company or my fleet in order to distribute items, all right? You can generate that and input the people, input the trucks, input the fleet, and control your expenses according to whatever. If for instance, if I use my trucks to sell, okay, if I have a truck that is selling too much or has I understand that the people or the trucks working in there, I need to allocate the wages, the fuel expenses, and everything. So I can generate an internal control for my trucks, and then I will be having an allocation definition, and that's it. Okay, now let's take a look at the cost accounting reports, because you need to understand, okay, we generate cost centers, we allocate cost statistic, well, first manually, then statistic, and then dynamically, all right? And this is automated. But how then we generate our reports to see for the first time, for you to take the general idea once again, all right? So all of this is very general. We would need to go into an actual further demo of training according to your necessities or how you work within your company with store, with stores, manufacturing, with a sales team. And so we can give you further ideas, okay? But let's do the following, okay? Once we have generated the overall idea, we need to understand that we need the actual usage of any cost accounting module is that we are going to be actually budgeting for the future, okay? This is very, very important. Otherwise, it will be really difficult to monitor our costs, all right? Then, budgeting in cost accounting resembles budgeting in a general ledger, but in here, we might have different amounts, for instance, for your teams, for your administrative departments, or for your sales departments, okay? So we need to budget independently of the chart of accounts budget that you have. We are going to budget according to the cost accounting criteria that we define for you, or predefined, all right? So basically, it's more or less that idea, okay? So we generate budgets, and first of all, we can just work manually. We can create a cost budget manually for the first time. And then once we have that, then the whole idea is that we do not actually work exactly like that. We first generate, and we normally work within our chart of accounts, or we have our budgets, okay? But what we normally do is once we generate that, let's transfer the data, because let's remember that we transfer from your chart of accounts to your definition of your cost accounting module. But we normally will be working on a mirror, but with another approach. Let's say for your sales team, for the fleet, for your workshops, for your store to generate a P&L, because stores generate revenue, but they have expenditures, they have salespeople. You have also expenditures with that you need to transfer with electricity, with everything to control your store. Now, in the case of budgets, you might be budgeting on the actual chart of accounts. Let's bring those budgets, but to be then accommodated and automatically allocated in your costing module with your new definition, all right? So what we normally do most of the time is that we just control our budgets, and we just copy the actual budgets that we have, and then we just transfer to the cost accounting module, all right? So that's the whole idea. I coming back once again to the actual Business Central on premises. We have the same exactly that we have generated, but now I want to give you more ideas, okay? For those of you who want to implement it, because the cost accounting could be having a lot of different flavors, all right? So I have in the cloud show previously the client with just the very basic examples for you to take the idea. But the actual implementation is more or less, I have a more complete example here. In this example, I have chart of cost objects. I monitor my chairs. I monitor my furniture in this example, but I also sometimes consulting and work income. If you manage services, all right, you can control those type of sales operations as well, all right? Just as an example, all right? So I have all of these cost objects, which is many items consolidated into one single line, because I need to monitor and create a P&L for those. Here you could also create the cost centers. Let me show you an actual implementation in a demo where I have different cost centers, okay? First of all, I have administrative, building, business management, okay? But then this idea is that the administrative department actually have all these expenditures, okay? But this is coming from different GL accounts, okay? Completely different GL accounts. This could be the payroll, the electricity. You might have posted in all of different departments in your company, but here you have only the consolidated cost center for administration, and this is the real expenses for that area only, all right? So it's completely having a new approach to manage my expenses. And I have, let's remember, different values, in this case, examples, okay? I want to monitor a team, but I could monitor a building if you want it, or a store for those of you who have retail or POSs and so on. For those of you who wants to manage, for instance, a fleet, we have vehicles, okay, workshops, okay, and behind all of these, we can generate different approaches, okay, just giving you some examples. But okay, this is an actual implementation, okay, where I'm generating different balances, and I have a more type of examples, okay? In this case, what I want to do in the chart of cost centers is manage all the ideas that I have in the company that I actually monitor, okay? And then, once again, I was talking about cost budgets. I'm going to generate I know that I generated some budgets, GL budgets that I have, but I want to transfer everything into my cost accounting module with the criteria that I was just explaining before, where I have workshops, where I have administrative departments or sales team, right? So what I can just do is just come with the function of generating a budget for the cost accounting module. But here, what I actually do is bring my actual budgets that I have in my chart of accounts that I created before. Remember that this is in the 2019 in this demo, but I have a date change formula. I will be copying my actual budget, GL budget, that I configured before, and I'm gonna copy it for the date change formula. Look at the 1 year formula here, and I will be copying the actual budget, but to be able to copy it for the following year, 2020. This is something that we normally this is one of the last modules we implement once you have Business Central and NAB, because you have your chart of accounts, you have your budgets in place, maybe if you want to use them, all right? But now we are going to be able to manage my cost accounting module with budgets that we configured before. So this is the budget for the following year. Here, because this could be an approach, and this is just something that you will need to maybe give some adjustments, maybe that 10% more and so on. And then we can transfer the budgets to the actual cost accounting if you want. So once you actually work with that, this is just an example, right? We work with the previous budget that we could pre-configure, and we just transfer it to the cost accounting module, but to be used in the following year, okay? Because this will be in this webinar as an example, just an explanation of the general overview and what do we need to implement it, and different flavors that we could generate for your company, all right? So this is more or less the idea. So once I've been working with this, I would like to show the cost accounting account schedule. We have also the possibility to generate reports, of course, for the cost accounting module, okay? Because remember, we have a separated chart of accounts, but now we manage cost center according to your needs. And now you would like to generate a report. For instance, I want to generate a report for my sales department as an example. So I'm generating an account schedule where I will be working with the cost accounting module, all right? In the cost accounting module, I need to generate an account schedule for the first time. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to edit it, and I will be just working with the cost types that I worked before. Let's remember that I designed my departments, right? Because I want to monitor my sales department, and I have some specific cost type which is similar to the chart of accounts, but this is independent. This is for my internal control only for the accountants, so they can monitor in depth more features and not only having the chart of accounts and in one chart of accounts, trying to understand everything that happens in the company. This would be really critical for me to understand, all right? So I can generate another type of GL where I'm going to be reporting, but this is just for internal control. This is not legally required. And I'm generating a report, okay? Once everything is posted, this is automatically transferred to my different stores, to my different departments in my company that I have created in my cost accounting module, all right? So once I have all of this information set up, I will be transferring and creating a report with a call, and I creating my account schedule. In this example, I will be bringing my information that I have for my sales department, which is a cost center. Let's remember that. Okay, let's see how it looks then for you to see it for the first time working, how it could be looking. Okay, I monitor my sales department internally, all right, because I have plenty of people there. Okay, and let's take a look at all the cost centers. All right, so I have my sales cost center here. I need to pick it. And it's very, very simple because everything is automated. What is the actual revenue and the P&L that I want to take a look for my actual sales department? They have, independently of the expenses of the entire company and the electricity and everything, was just, let's take a look. Here I have the P&L for my sales team, or my sales cost center, actually, for the 2019 budget, if I want it. And these cost accounting values, this P&L is actually just generated for my sales team, okay? So this is very important. Now I'm understanding, okay, if I want to take a look at this team, the sales team that I generated for actually sold in the sales retail domestic figures now 9,000, okay? The sales for retail and the sales for export figures, this team generated 43,000 and 16,000. So I'm generating a P&L for my sales team. Simple as, all right? And this might be quite new for all of you who are not working with this module yet, but the idea is actually, the overall idea is that for you is that tell me what you want to control. This will be, in this case, a sales team. This could be a building to review the expenditures. This could be a store to review a P&L, like in this example. This is what I'm showing you, this simple example, where I'm just generating a P&L, and you might have different sales team. I want to analyze the revenue they generate, but the cost only for their team, not for my entire company, like in the chart of accounts. But I also need to see, because I need to charge my electricity bills. Also, if they work with trucks, I need to charge the maintenance expenditures that they have in that I'm allocating to the sales team, right? So with this, I will be controlling internally, at least, how is the sales team performing according to the rules that I predefined before. So with this, I'm actually having the overall idea of how the cost accounting module will be working for me. So it's taking the information from the chart of accounts. It's going to be implemented through the criteria you need to control, right, to generate for the costing features. Let's transfer the actual balances from my chart of accounts to my costing designs and allocations as well. Remember, the cost allocations are predefined with percentages or with shares. And with this, at last but not least, once I have operated and I close my monthly, on a monthly basis, all my modules, then I can come up into my cost accounting to review internally what will be the final result for every cost center, profit center with the specific allocations that we manage. So hopefully this can give you in a glimpse all the functionality, how more or less you will be using it. And with this, we will be finalizing our presentation.